Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make hair dynamics in Blender, or how to set it up. So we're just going to be making this simple bowl, adding some hairs, and then just having this torus animating. Now, with the torus, I'm going to get a little bit sort of like overly detaily with the animation, but if you just want to have the torus coming down and then up with some simple shape keys, like 3 or 4 shape keys, that's fine. If you want to follow along with a little bit where I just make the little turn like that, you can do that as well. Don't get too stuck on the animation. The main thing here is just to have a hairy ball here and then have a donut or torus going over it and kind of affecting the hair dynamics. And that way you guys can see how to do this. So this is a beginner tutorial. If you already know how to do this sort of stuff, you'll probably find this a little bit boring, but this is definitely for you guys who are beginners. And I will be adding this blend file to my Patreon as well. So let's jump in, and I hope you guys enjoy. So jumping into a new scene in Blender, I'm using Blender 4.5. We're just going to select the default cube. We'll actually be using it today. And we're just going to go to our modifiers, add modifier, search and type in sub, give it a subdivision surface. Yes, you could use the control and number pad shortcut to add this, but a lot of people get confused when I do it. So I've just added in manually. And we're just going to go ahead and just bump this number up here in the viewport. I think 4 should be okay. And let's come to the drop down and apply that. Right click, go shade smooth, and then let's go over to our particles here. And just in case anybody's wondering, why didn't I just add in a sphere? It's just because we got more even topology when we subdivide a square. We don't have that sort of pinching triangles, and that's pretty much why I did that. But anyway, going back to our particles here, we're just gonna go ahead and click plus. Let's add in some hair, and then you just come here to the hair length and you can drag it down. So these are our parent hairs. So each one of these can spawn like some children. So we're just going to go down to our children, make it interpolated. And then under the viewport display, let's just bump up the strand steps. So these hairs can bend, right? So we want some more little segments that make up the hairs. And we want the same thing to happen in the render. So we'll go under the render and enable the B-spline here. And we'll leave it at step of 3. Great, now let's just go back up. We'll just take our emission number here and we'll just bring it something more like 250 maybe, a quarter of that. And now that's looking really good. So this is how we kind of create hair in Blender. It's really simple. But if I was to hit the spacebar, you can see nothing happens, right? It's not dynamic. So how do we make it dynamically fall and interact with things? So to do that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go over to hair settings here, and you're gonna see something here called hair dynamics. And as soon as you enable that, you can see we have something happening here. So let's go to frame 1, hit the spacebar now, and you can see we have the hair falling. Now, if you actually want the hair to not go through the mesh, I mean, at the moment it has a little bit of sort of tension to it, so it's not falling completely. So it has a bit of stiffness, but if you wanted it to actually interact with the surface, you can also just go over to your physics and make sure to enable collision. And now you have that interacting with itself as well. So we'll go back to our hair. We now have this, but how do we make it interact with other things in our scene? So let's go ahead, keep it really simple. We'll go to frame 1. We'll go into our front view. I'm gonna go Shift A. Let's just add in a mesh object. We're gonna go for a torus. That's a really good object. We'll go S just to scale this torus up, just so it's kind of big enough to kind of fit over the sphere like that. We don't want the meshes interacting. So if you go into wireframe, you can kind of see there's a gap in between. Then I'll just give that a subdivision surface using the shortcut. You can just add it with the modifiers. But now we have that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go G, Z and move it up to here. And I'm going to go to frame 1. Like I said, I'm going to press I and insert a keyframe. So you can see we now have a keyframe. Then I'll move up to like frame 70, and on frame 70, I'm going to go G, Z, move it down to here. And with it selected over here on frame 70, I'm going to press I to insert a keyframe. And then I'll go to 90, I'll press I again to insert a keyframe. And then I'll just grab the first keyframe over here on the timeline. I'm going to go Shift D to duplicate, drag it over to 130, and then I'll make the animation 150 frames long, like so. So now if we go to frame 1, we grab our torus. We're going to go over to our physics, and we're also going to give it a collision. And now from frame 1, we can hit the spacebar. And here you can see we now have this interacting with our hair particles. So there we now have an object animating and interacting with our hair dynamics, which is really cool. You can now select the hair object itself, go back to your particles, and you can go to under your hair dynamics, go to your structure, and this is where you can really have fun with the sort of characteristics of your hair particles. So one of the things when I play this animation that you can see here is it's quite floppy. So I'm going to come over here under the structure that's under our hair dynamics, and I'm just going to take the stiffness and take it up to 2. And then let's go back to frame 1, hit the space bar, and now you can see we got more of that sort of rigidity to the hairs, which is what we're looking for. So what we can do to make this animation look a little bit cooler is we'll actually come over to frame 50, and on frame 50, we'll go into a front view. We'll enable auto keying by enabling it over here, and we're going to go G, Z, and kind of move it to the middle of our sphere here, like that. So it's now located here. And then let's come up to frame 60. Let's grab this keyframe and go Shift D to duplicate the one from 50, drag it up to 60 as well. And then on frame 60, what we're going to do is we're going to go R, X, and we're just going to rotate it. And we'll rotate it like this, so all the way around and just a little bit offset like that, and then click, and now it automatically adds in a keyframe. Okay, and let's turn off the auto keying. So what it does is it comes here and rotates, right? And forget about frame 70 for now. What we'll do, we'll actually grab 70 and 90, just go G and move them up a little bit, and then let's grab this keyframe on frame 50 and go Shift D to duplicate, drag it up to 70. So what we actually have is this. Okay. And for it to not slip off, we should also just grab frame 70 here and just go Shift D to duplicate and drag that to frame 80, just so we have a little bit of a hold as it comes down. Okay, and then what we can do, we can just actually grab these two end keyframes here that was on frame 70 and 90, and we'll just go and G, drag them up a little bit further. Okay, and maybe just grab this keyframe here and drag that a bit further out, the one on the end. Okay, so what we have here now is this. And just so it doesn't start rotating too soon, we'll just come to frame 40. Let's just grab this keyframe over here, go Shift D, drag it to frame 40, bring it over here. But what we'll do is enable the auto key again and go G, Z, and just move it down just before it hits the middle here, and then turn off auto keying. So what we should have is this. It should come down, do a little spin, and kind of go down and then shoot back up. Okay, so you kind of get the idea here. I'm making maybe a little bit more complicated than it needs to be for a beginner's tutorial, but you can always come here and just adjust the shape keys, the keyframes just a little bit, just get that timing sort of perfect. But you kind of get the idea here. This is a ton of fun, and you can even just have it going up and down if that's all you want to do. But this is what I'm going to leave it at. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll grab our hairball here. We'll go over to our particles. We'll just go down under the dynamics. We'll keep going down to our children. Then let's go to the clumping. Let's give it a clump value by dragging it up like so. Let's go down to the roughness, and let's just give it a little bit of endpoint value like so. And let's just mess around with the uniform. Just give it a bit of random variation, and then just random a little bit, but not too much. And I might just drag that clump up all the way to a value of 1. So now we have something that looks like this. And that's looking really, really cool. Nice. Okay, so what you could do now is with your hair selected, you could actually go over to your hair particles. And there should be an option here somewhere. If you go a tab that says cache, we have 150 frames here. So let's make the end value 150 frames. And essentially if we now go and bake, it's going to bake this simulation. So in other words, if you make any changes, it won't update. You'll have to actually delete the bake, make your changes, and then bake it again. But the cool thing is now, this is now baked into our blend file here, which is really cool. Okay, we've got our hair dynamics here. So if you wanted to at this point, you can just go to your render settings, and you can go to render engine here, change it to cycles. And then I like to come to the max samples here in the render, make it 45. Then you can go Shift A, add in a camera. And well, I guess there's already a camera in the scene, so let's just use that one. So I'm going to just select that camera, and I hit 0 on my number pad just to go to the camera view. And then you can go G and middle mouse button with the camera selected just to move it. And honestly, whatever sort of position you want to get here. So I wouldn't be too crazy with following exactly the same way I'm doing it. Any sort of position that you think looks cool. You can go from above, underneath, you can even animate the camera moving, but this is kind of what I'm going to go with like so. And then let's just go Shift A, go to our light options, add in an area light and just move it up. And under your light properties, you can give it a strength of 300, increase the size a little bit. Then if you go Z and you go rendered, you can see this is what we have. Okay, pretty cool stuff. Simply grab your torus now and you can go over to material properties, give it a new material, and then you can come here and give it a color. Maybe give it a metallic value, which looks kind of really cool, and drag down that roughness a little bit. And then you can select the ball here and you can go ahead, because we use the default cube, it should already have a material. If not, just add a material and then come here to the base color and give it whatever you want. Whatever you think kind of looks cool. Okay, so maybe I'll go for like a blue. And yeah, that's a really simple thing to do. So let's go ahead and just kind of get a shot that looks cool, something like that. Let's also go over to our render properties and let's just go down and enable the motion blur. That's going to really add a cool effect. And now if we go render and just render this image, we'll see what it looks like. And there we have it. You can see that is looking absolutely awesome. So at this point, if you wanted to, you could just go ahead and duplicate your light. You can kind of add it behind here, add a little bit of rim lighting. Honestly, I don't try to make these things too complicated. I think you can kind of just mess around with it all you want until you get something that you like. There's all these so-called rules with lighting that you could follow, and they have their place. But I think sometimes it's just a matter of kind of messing around with it until you get something that you'll like. So yeah, go ahead now. You can go to your output properties over here. Go to your output here and select the location on your computer. And then you can change your file format to FFmpeg video. You can go render and render the animation. Ideally, you'd actually change it to a PNG and then just render out sequences to a file and then compile the sequences. But there is the option of doing an FFmpeg directly and then changing your encoder to whichever format you want. I prefer to go with an MPEG-4, which is a standard MP4 format, and then rendering it out that way if it's a smaller video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'll upload this to my Patreon, so those of you supporting the channel will get access to this blend file. I might make a few tweaks just to make it look a little bit better, but this is the general idea of it. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.